Hey, hi, how you doing? This is the Gamertron, and welcome back to the Gamertron Show. 2014 is over, and my oh my, what a year it was for the video game industry and the video game community. At the beginning of the year, I didn't expect half of the crap that happened this year to happen. Honestly, I was expecting a very quiet year for gaming, a very run-of-the-mill one. Nope, what we got was nowhere near that. Now, before watching this video, you should absolutely, totally go watch my top 10 games of 2014. You should totally go watch that video. It relates to this one, I worked my butt off on that, and I would really appreciate it if you went and watched that video. Don't worry, I can wait. You guys can go see the video. I'll still be here, so you guys go see it. I'll wait. So you saw the video? Great, awesome. Alright, let's get back on with this one. So, the year of 2014 for video gaming started out as, well, everybody talking about the past year, of course. January is the month where everybody just keeps celebrating and talking about all the stuff that happened last year, while looking forward to the stuff that would be happening in the months to come. So, January was filled with people overhyping Titanfall, overhyping Destiny, overhyping Watch Dogs, overhyping the next Batman game, and overhyping The Witcher Free. All the while still talking about and still praising how amazing BioShock Infinite and The Last of Us were, while looking forward to their upcoming DLC expansions. Nothing too major happened in February. After months of waiting, The Wolf Among Us Episode 2 was finally released. People were very happy to be introduced to a brand new old-school JRPG, Bravely Default. The game I had been waiting for months to release, the sequel to one of my favorite games, Castlevania Lord of Shadow, Castlevania Lord of Shadow 2 was released and is a freaking amazing video game. If you want to learn more about that game, go watch my top 10 games of 2014, which you already should have watched. No pressure. And near the end of February, one big surprise success and one big disappointment were released. The remake/reboot of Thief, and Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare. One is an incredibly fun and successful multiplayer game. The other is a decently made product, but filled with issues and not 100% loyal to the franchise it's based off of. Then the month of March came around, and oh boy, was this a big month for gaming. It saw the release of South Park: The Stick of Truth, The Walking Dead Season 2, Episode 2, Dark Souls 2, Titanfall, Hearthstone, the official release of Smite, and Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes. Oh yes, and BioShock Infinite got its last piece of story DLC, wrapping up the BioShock story and series in a nice little bow. Oh yes, and almost forgot, since I don't own a PS4, Infamous Second Son came out on the PS4. The PS4's first notable exclusive. So yeah, March was a pretty big month for gaming. I mean, look at all those big name titles that were released. And March, I can safely say March is the month where the darker side of this year truly came out. March is the month where we saw some of the worst of 2014. I'm not talking about from the game industry, okay, maybe a tiny bit, but mostly, surprisingly, from the gaming community. Out of nowhere came these Microsoft and Sony console fanboys whining and bitching at each other literally about pieces of plastic that play video games, arguing which is better. I can safely say that March was the true start to the brand new stupid console war between Xbox One fans and PlayStation 4 fans. What with Infamous for PlayStation, Titanfall for Xbox. March was also the month I find that the gates of hell were opened and the trolls came through. I don't know what the hell has happened. I don't know what happened this year. I don't know where all these trolls came from, or if it's all the same guy who just made multiple accounts. But 2014 was certainly the year of the troll. Just the same type of trolling comments everywhere. Obvious Xbox One is better than PS4 comment bait, and vice versa. Along with every single video game that was released. Getting irrational, illogical comments of hate and people saying that this was a bad game, a terrible game, a piece of shit. The same console war and hate troll comments. I don't know where all these trolls came from, or if it's just the same guy who literally went out of his way to make multiple accounts just to be an attention whore. I don't know. I don't know what happened this year. Didn't happen last year, didn't happen the year before that. I sure hope this dies down in 2015, and I hope it dies down quickly. 'Cause these trolls, they're not funny. I don't care if it's a joke, I don't care if it's pretend, I don't care if you don't really mean what you're saying. It's still nasty, it's still hurtful and misleading, and creates unnecessary conflict. I thought the point of a troll was to say something completely batshit crazy and get crazy reactions back. That's what trolls used to be. Now they've become this thing where it's just say the nastiest things possible for the sake of saying them. I mean, honestly, what do you gain by saying Dark Souls 2 is shit, Titanfall 2 is shit, Infamous Second Son is shit? What do you gain from this? What do you gain by constantly calling an obviously well-made product a bad one? 1, everyone knows you're lying. 2, you're spreading misinformation to the ignorant. Sorry, I've been going on a tangent here, enough about trolls. Point is, while the community went to hell in March, there were some really great games released. Titanfall and Dark Souls 2 especially. The next few months, April to June, saw the release of a ton of video games, too many to mention in this single video, but I will say a few notable ones was the continuing episodes of The Walking Dead and The Wolf Among Us, Child of Light, Goat Simulator, Sir, You Are Being Hunted, Bound by Flame, Wolfenstein: The New Order, Murdered Soul Suspect, the majorly disappointing Transformers: Rise of the Darkspark, Valiant Hearts: The Great War, the amazing 2D retro throwback game that everybody loves, Shovel Knight, a new Sniper Elite game, Sniper Elite Free, finally ending out the month of June with Divinity: Original Sin, which from what I hear is an top-down RPG, old-school fantasy RPG that everybody loves. So yeah, the next few months, April to June, were packed full of video games, really good ones. Games that took the community and the industry by storm, especially Shovel Knight and Divinity: Original Sin, getting high praise from the media, journalists, and the community alike. And so many people complained that 2014 was a bad year for gaming. Where were you when all these great games were being released? Now, since I don't want this video to go on forever just listing the names of games that were released out this year, let's just skip ahead and mention a few notable games that came out in the following months to the end of the year. Destiny, Five Nights at Freddy's, Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor, Alien Isolation, Borderlands, the pre-sequel, The Evil Within, The Legend of Grimrock 2, Bayonetta 2, Lords of the Fallen, Sunset Overdrive, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, Assassin's Creed Unity, Halo, the Master Chief Collection. Alright, gotta take a moment to talk about this. People, calm down. Yes, 3 games in a row were released in buggy, glitchy, unfinished states. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare's multiplayer was barely working. Assassin's Creed Unity, well, you know about Assassin's Creed Unity. Oh God, where is your face? And Halo the Master Chief Collection, just like the latest Call of Duty, had a barely functioning multiplayer. However, some reason, just because 3 games out of the dozens and dozens and dozens of video games that were released in the year 2014, because 3 AAA games in a row were released in buggy, broken states, somehow that means all the games this year were broken and buggy. Oh my god, 2014 is the worst year for gaming ever. Look at all these broken, buggy games. They're free games. Free games. Granted, they were AAA games, and this is unacceptable. Indeed, it's unacceptable. This should not be done. But it doesn't mean all of a sudden that every single developer is going to do this. It doesn't mean all of a sudden that this is the norm. It doesn't mean all of a sudden that this has been happening all year. And this is the thing that people have been saying, that because of these free games, and because the month of November had free AAA games that were released in broken, buggy states, somehow so many people overreacted and freaking the hell out, believing this is going to be the norm. They're going to give us an unfinished game, then patch it later and just take our money. Look, I agree that this is unacceptable, but this is no need to freak the hell out and go overboard. Also, don't buy games at release. Never buy a game day of release. Watch reviews. Look up gameplay. Be a smart consumer. Don't buy day one. I can't tell you how much money I've saved by doing research before I buy a game. I was going to buy Transformers Rise of the Darkspark because it looked like a sequel to the Transformers Cybertron games. Turns out it wasn't. It was a movie tie-in. Thank God I did my research before I bought it day one, else I would have wasted money. Yes, Ubisoft, Free Industries, and Sledgehammer Games shouldn't have released their games in the state they were in. Just because those free games and those free companies made a mistake doesn't mean all of a sudden everybody's going to start making the mistake. Calm down, people. 2014 is not the year of broken, buggy games. It's the year of gamers bitching and overreacting to everything that happens. And I will continue on that later. Anyways, moving on to games released this year, we had the absolutely incredible, amazing Dragon Age Inquisition, which finally made me love and play to the end a Dragon Age game. I didn't like Dragon Age Origins, and I just wasn't very interested in Dragon Age 2. Dragon Age Origins, it had great story, but the combat was just so boring and not fun. Inquisition has fixed that. I freaking love Inquisition. And after that, there was the release of the dreadful Escape Dead Island, which nobody can understand why was this game made and released. And after that, we had the fairly solid Far Cry 4, which if you liked Far Cry Free, then you will like Far Cry 4. And then there was the huge, gargantuan release of Grand Theft Auto 5, the remastered version, for the next-gen consoles and eventually PC. And my, oh my, did people flip out over the new first-person mode. It's just Grand Theft Auto in first person. It's somehow people think this is a huge deal. You guys know how I feel about Grand Theft Auto. I'm not a fan. If you like it, that's absolutely fine, but I just don't understand why it's such a big deal. However, with all that said and done, that was pretty much the year of 2014. Honestly, there wasn't a lot wrong with it. Game-wise, video game-wise, games released, there wasn't a lot wrong with it. Yes, there were stinkers. There were absolutely some bad games, but you really had to go out of your way just to find them. I mean, if you look at several top 10 worst games of 2014 lists that people have put up, it's usually a lot of very obscure, obviously poorly made games, a lot of indie games. So many people say this was a horrible year for video games, yet look at all the really good games that were released. And all the bad ones were usually very independent, cheap, or obscure. Yeah, there were a lot of bad games, but they're not usually the games you look for. AAA-wise, we got a lot of good stuff. Yet, the reason a lot of people call 2014 a bad year for video games is for the many controversies that happened this year. Grand Theft Auto 5 getting banned in Target and Kmart in Australia. Watch Dogs having a graphics downgrade. Speaking of which, so sorry I didn't mention Watch Dogs. I should have mentioned it when I was talking about games from April to June. In May, Watch Dogs was released. Watch Dogs was pretty awesome. Got a lot of hate, but it's a really good game. It's overhated by the irrational and by trolls. But yeah, Watch Dogs supposedly had a graphics downgrade, and somehow this made the game horrible. Graphics don't make a video game. It just makes a video game pretty. Graphics downgrade. Oh, the horror. But the final product wasn't as advertised in an E3 trailer. E3 trailers are meant to give you a taste, an example. It's not the final product. Never guaranteed to be the final product. At E3, they're showing you guys stuff work in progress. Just because the game doesn't look as good as it did in a trailer doesn't make it a lesser game or a bad game. Calm down, grow up, get some common sense. Then we had the many delays of games that happened in 2014. Evolve was delayed, Batman Arkham Knight was delayed, Dying Light was delayed, the highly anticipated Witcher 3 was delayed. and then it got delayed again. And then finally, we have Gamergate. A couple people have wanted me to talk about Gamergate, and I don't want to touch this thing with a 10-foot pole. But I will say this. All parties involved in Gamergate are being very silly. People are going on needless witch hunts, jumping at shadows, and crying over spilt milk. It's adults acting like teenagers in a high school drama. You want something that's blown out of proportion? Gamergate. But you know what? Despite the controversies, despite the graphical downgrades, despite the broken games, despite all the crap that happened in 2014, so many people have lost sight about why we play video games, what video gaming is about. Fun, enjoyment, entertainment. That is the point of video games. Too many people have forgotten this fact. Stop trying to make video gaming into something it's not. Stop trying to make it a social justice movement, a strange religious worshipping cult, a place for ethical debates. That's not what video games are about. They are products. They are products meant for entertainment. We all need to calm down, lighten up, and just enjoy our video games. Can we do that? Please? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Here's looking forward to 2015. Here's looking back and enjoying 2014. And I'll see you guys later.